despite having more rest, a healthier team, and to be honest, a better team out there late last night, the Raptors lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves 128-126. So in today's video, we need to acknowledge this season is going nowhere. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Hour Sports, your source for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news. If you want to see more videos like this and live stream watch parties for almost every single Raptors game, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You can help me on my road to 14,000 subscribers. And if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, don't forget to smash that like button. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. It helps us get on some more recommended pages, helps get more viewers to join the Amateur Hour Army. But the video today is about the Raptors and the season. And I've been really trying to hold out my patience for this team. I've acknowledged, the good players here, and it's very clear on a nightly basis that there are some really good players in this team, but overall, the product is broken. The product as a whole is broken, and I really wanted to hold out till the end of that Western Conference road trip that ends February 5th, but I cannot hold out any longer. I am completely out on this season, and I'm probably completely out on this core overall. The Raptors yesterday went into Minnesota. They played against the Timberwolves, and everything was pointing towards this being a Raptors win. The Raptors had more rest than the Minnesota Timberwolves, who played the night before in a game that went down to the wire, which was at Denver, so they had to travel overnight or in the morning. Since it was in Denver, they played at a higher altitude, meaning recovery time would have been less than normal. Karl-Anthony Towns remains out injured. Rudy Gobert did not feature in this game because he was injured. The Raptors were completely healthy other than Otto Porter Jr. And yet still, the Toronto Raptors found a way to lose this game. They even led 119-105 late in the game. They even led 124-116 late in the game, but lose 128-126. The Raptors led from when the Timberwolves were up 19-18 until the Timberwolves took the lead 126-124. The Raptors led by nearly 20 points. They led comfortably by double digits all throughout the game, yet still they find a way to lose. I keep calling these things scheduled wins because it pretty much is a scheduled win. Everything is in place for your team to go and get an easy win when you are desperate to find victories, and you still cannot do it. And even despite all of this information I said about this team, everything pointing towards a Raptors win, is that when they lose, I am not surprised. I'm like, wow, go figure. This is who we are. This is what the team is this season. And I don't think there's any sense in continuing to try and push the broken product that we have seen this season, because this isn't the first time we suffered a loss like this. This game was eerily similar to that loss at home about a month ago now to the Sacramento Kings, where the Raptors, they had more rest and they led all throughout the game, but let it slip late. I always say that when a team wins a really close game late, like closer games late, comes down to like a 50-50. It's a coin flip finish on which team gets over the line. The team that wins most of those games, that is the mark of a good team. Good teams win those games. The Raptors have not been able to win these games. And it's not even like yesterday wasn't even a good example, because they led by so much late and still managed to lose. Good teams don't lose like that to the Timberwolves in the fashion they lost yesterday. Good teams don't lose to the Kings in the way they lost a month ago. And there are so many other pieces of evidence that suggest that the Raptors are not a good team, and it might be time. You know what? It not might be anymore. It is time for the Raptors to move on and find what to do differently this season. And it's been broken from the start. The Raptors kind of hit over it initially, but as the league has adjusted to the Raptors have not made adjustments back. The roster just is not in place for the Raptors to do anything this season. The vibes are down. It's time to move on. But how did we get into this position here? The Raptors are 6 games back of 500, 20-26 on the season. How did we get to this point? Because there were so many high expectations going into the season for the Raptors, who won 48 games last season, who were the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference last season, who had a young core that was just going to continue to get better because, well, it's a young core. They won 48 games. They kept them all together. Why would they not continue to improve for the next season? And I think that this was a safe notion to have. I don't think it was wrong to think like that, because it was a young core, and you would assume all the players would get better individually and all the players would continue to get better as a group, playing more together, but for some reason it has not panned out that way. So where did the front office really inhibit the Raptors from having success this season? And we can point to a lot of things. Mainly for me, there's still no rim protector. It's glaring on a night-to-night basis. There is still no rim protector for this team. Although the Raptors had a lot of success last season without a rim protector. They just used all these athletic guys. They really hounded you. They gave up a little bit of stuff at the rim, but they closed out really well. They defended the perimeter really well. And maybe that made up for a lot of things. And you know what? They found Christian Koloko at 33 overall in the draft that maybe he could mask a little bit of the problems there. And Koloko has been great this season when he's been able to feature. In the last 2 games, he hasn't played against teams that played 5 out on offense. It wasn't really the right situation for Koloko to get in the game. If you're watching them, I think you can kind of understand that the way the teams are playing against us. But overall, it wasn't a bad bet from the front office to suggest that we could operate maybe another season without a rim protector. Maybe it should have been addressed, but maybe they wanted to put more focus into shooting. And they went out and signed guys like Juancho Hernangomez, who makes his trade in the NBA by being a good three-point shooter. They went and got Otto Porter Jr. coming off of his NBA championship where, he was a key figure for the Warriors down the stretch. Not like one of the main pieces, but every team needs that fifth guy for their starting lineup, and that's what Otto Porter Jr. was late in that series against the Boston Celtics, where ultimately, like I said, the Golden State Warriors win a championship. He's a good three-point shooter. The Raptors decided to invest in that player. They knew there were injuries concerns, but how could they have foreseen him only playing 8 games in the entire season for the Raptors? Impossible to foresee. The Raptors have good shooters beyond that. Siakam is a guy who can shoot mid-30s. Fred VanVleet can shoot mid to high 30s in three-point percentage. OG is a 40% knockdown three-point shooter. Gary Trent can shoot up to 40% from 3. There are shooters all over here. There are shooters everywhere in this team. They added in more. The Raptors bet on these guys to make more shots, and they bet on the players coming in to just make up the difference for what was not a very good shooting team last season. That was a smart bet by the front office. It just has not panned out there. And the Raptors, the front office as a whole, didn't make any big trades because they bet on the internal development within the core. Holding your assets, betting on your team, is that such a bad idea for the front office to do? No, it definitely is not, but we must acknowledge at this point they were good bets, but they have not panned out. They have been losing bets at this point for the Raptors this season. That does not mean the front office is inept. They can't do their job. I think they did a pretty good job in the offseason. It's just, it hasn't been enough. Those have been losing bets. It's time to understand that this isn't working out. And now, based on the fact that we have seen the evidence that it's not going to work out, it's time to make some changes. And those changes aren't for the sake of winning. Those changes are for the sake, not necessarily of losing, but for the sake of getting future assets. There's a really good foundation in place that remains with this team. Scottie Barnes is returning to the form that he showcased in his Rookie of the Year season last year, maybe even looking better. And he was outstanding yesterday against the Minnesota Timberwolves and has been outstanding over the last 6, 7, 8 games. So he's really taking a turn and once again showcasing to fans that, those women, guys like myself, a lot of you watching this video, maintain belief in him as a player and maintain belief that you can really build a team around him. And he's showing that on court right now, which is really great to see. That is a player that you can definitely build around. You can find, you want to keep Siakam, build around him. Keep OG, build around him. You can do that 100%. There is good pieces here, but there is a lot that does not work for this team. You're going to be looking for trades. Gary Trent's on an expiring contract. I kind of want to keep him, but if you're going to look for assets, so be it. Fred VanVleet, I'm fine keeping him, but if you find a good trade there, then 100% you got to pull the trigger on that, knowing the money he's going to ask for and knowing that his contract expires at the end of the season. And what you need to get back, you need to get picks, you need to get young players who you have more flexibility over with their contract situation and that you can develop within your system. And you need to find players that are going to fit this core a little bit better. Establish the core in place. Establish what it's going to be. Find 2 to 3 players that you really, really want to make work with this team and you really want to build around, and find the right pieces to put next to them, because from what I've seen this season, I am completely out on this core. It was a fun little experiment. It was fun to run the 5 guys on offense who can all average 15 plus points per game, who can all go off for 30 on any given night. We've liked that. We've enjoyed that. But I think this season, we really need to have a bigger understanding of what the roles are going to be. And I don't want to single out OG as much because, it's just a bad run of games here for OG. But yesterday in particular, OG trying to handle the ball, clearly it's a disaster situation. He's not a good ball handler. He needs to stick to straight line drives, get downhill, and catch and shoot threes. Sure, there was the threes that he missed at the end of the game, but he's a good player in those settings. He's not a good player when he's trying to create his own shot in mid-range, but he clearly feels underpaid as a player, and rightfully so, and he wants to do more on offense, and sure, he's hungry to get more touches. That's understandable as a player, but you need guys who understand their roles within the offensive unit. I think right now there's too many mouths to feed. I am out on this core. I want a more traditional core. I'm not like giving up on, the 6'9" vision, whatever. And I'll touch more on that in just a second. I think there's too many mouths to feed on offense. The balance is not there. We need to do a better job in that. There's a lot of assets you can get. There are some good players here you can trade, and there's some moves you can make in the offseason to really supplement the core that you are going to establish in the next month or so as we get towards that February 9th deadline. But I am definitely out on this specific core. The Vision 6'9" thing, it's a little bit harder to make work than a traditional lineup, but it's not impossible to make work. The Raptors right now are showing it in a bad light because they don't have the right players to make that vision work. They don't have the tall point guard to make that work, the playmaker. They just lack overall great passers on this team in general. They have a lot of good passers, like Scottie Barnes, a good passer, might be great in a few years. VanVleet's a good passer. Siakam's a good passer. No great passers overall on this team. And the fact that there's no rim protector here. There's no rim protector. There's no 6'9" athletic guy who's going to be a rim protector. Maybe there's some out there in the league that you can go find, but we don't have one on this specific team. I'm not sold on that vision, but I think it's easier to create with a traditional lineup, and we need to find a way to get that traditional lineup into this team. The biggest thing to end off here, the Raptors need to understand as well, and this is something that fans, I think, struggle to understand sometimes. It's really hard to fight your way back from obscurity in the NBA. Like, you look at the Kings, how long they were down there. The Timberwolves, who made that massive trade and are still in this obscure situation where they might miss the playoffs. The Magic, a little bit in an obscure situation right now. For teams that don't attract free agents, like, we just have to understand who we are right now. We're a team that doesn't attract free agents. It's really difficult to reestablish yourself falling into obscurity. So completely rinsing this team, this franchise, and starting anew, I don't think is the right course of action. It's clear there are good players here you can build around, but like I said, the front office needs to establish who they're going to be and find a way to build a team around them. They've done a good job of compiling these assets, the top-heavy part of the lineup, but it's time to move on. It's time to retool. Not rebuild, but it's time to retool what we have. There are like 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months from now to the start of next season. That is what you're working towards because this season is a wash. That Minnesota Timberwolves loss was the nail in the coffin for the Toronto Raptors. I really wanted to wait to the end of that road trip. If you are even an okay team, some semblance of a good team, you do not lose that game yesterday to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was proof this is not a good team, and it is time for Raptors fans and the team to move on. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to drop a like on the video. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. And make sure you're subscribed to Amateur Sports for more videos like this and live stream watch parties usually for every single Raptors game. I'm on vacation. I'm going away tonight. I'm going to be in Vegas if you care. No stream Saturday or Sunday while I'm away. Monday, Tuesday, I'm also away, so no videos there. Wednesday, I'm back and should have a video out on Thursday. And I will be doing a live stream watch party on Wednesday as the Raptors take on the Sacramento Kings. Don't forget about me while I'm gone. I'll be back in 5 days, 4 or 5 days, and I'll see you there.